So let's continue. 3 minutes, time limit, Mr. Engel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And let me say that I would have maybe preferred if you had applied this rule from the very beginning. That might have meant that we would have 3.5 minutes each. I would not be true to my own past if I did not react to what Mrs. Hankish has said about the mission, because I feel, if not offended, then at least somewhat mesmerized by the description of what we should have been doing there. I chaired the first day myself, in the absence of the President of the LIBE Committee, and I have no recollection whatsoever that we would have bothered about Hungary having a bicameral legislation or not. No recollection whatsoever. This might have been a 1-minute element in, I don't know what sort of discussion, but certainly nothing that we focused on. We focused on loads of things, just like the second day, in which, obviously, some of the interlocutors of the committee were not so much to the government's liking, and some of the interlocutors of the committee were not so much to the opponents of the government's liking. But I was told, and the overall feeling that I got was vaguely corresponding to this, that there was more or less a balance between organisations inclined more to this direction or to that. And it is not my business to say that these ones were right or these ones were right, but what we had after 2 days at least was the impression that for me is determining now at the stage where we've got, and this is where I insist on commending the rapporteur for the way in which he's been operating so far. We know by now, and this is about objectivity, that it is excessively difficult to judge what is happening in Hungary in constitutional and in legal terms by constitutional and legal terms, because there might well be completely objective and rational justifications for this, and there might be completely objective and rational justifications for apprehensions that some people have. So this is the field in which we now have to try and make headway. And this is where I want to say some words of substance on the headway that we want to make in 50 seconds. I will not assess the fourth constitutional amendment. We'll have time to do that. Others are doing it as well. The only thing I want to say is that there is a lot of exaggeration there again as well, methinks. But there are obviously reasons for concern if one has a certain vision of how a constitution should operate and of how legislation should be done. One of my major concerns in all this business, and I would be glad if we could at some point talk about this together, is this whole cardinal legislation business, is this whole 2/3 majority business, which I believe poisons the atmosphere beyond what would normally be the case if the very same substantive measures were taken by a normal majority in Hungary. It is the fear that there will not be a 2/3 majority again, soon or later, that increases the apprehensions that otherwise would not be as massive as they currently are. And this is a matter that we would talk about. I do not intend to put blame on anyone who recognises only 6 churches instead of 600. My own country also only recognises 6, so if the number of recognised churches is a criterion to judge by, then Luxembourg is of course a non-democratic state and a problematic state. But I believe this is not the problem. The problem is that these matters are subject to a sort of legislation which in itself would, among Europeans, come up for discussion at some point. So this is what we'd ideally be able to do. I believe that we'll be able to do that. On the working document number 5 itself, I don't have anything in particular to say, apart from the fact that Rui has done what he always does. He lists facts and apprehensions, the ones, but also the others. Now I look forward to the continuing drafting that he's going to do, and I'll try to contribute as much as I can. Only 1 minute 11 over time, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Engel.